So, to all you indie authors and writers out there, do you know what you're actually going to be writing this year in 2026? Do you know what you're going to be writing next year? What are your plans for the next few years? So, I did a video a good while ago now, and it was about my 5 year plan that I had for my writing goals. And I set that out. And I did say it was going to be an ever changing beast. And I have just recently altered that. So I've got a brand new one. I'm going to take you through it and I'm going to tell you exactly what my plans are for the next 5+ years. So last year I released the first 4 books in a series called The Half Dead, which is a zombie apocalypse series. So what I intend to do for 2026 is to write and release, publish the next 6 books in that series. Now, these are going to just be novellas, so they're going to be quick and easy to write. So the goal is I'm going to write the next 3, so 5, 6, and 7 in the series. I'm going to write them all together, and then I'm going to publish them all together halfway through the year. That's the aim anyway. So I'm going to try and release them by the end of June. And then I'm going to do the same in the second half of the year. I'm going to write and publish books 8, 9, and 10 and try and release them before the end of the year. So that will be the 6 books that I want to do. Now, I've made a little note here to say that each novella is going to be approximately 2 months to kind of write, edit, and then get it finished and then move on to the next one. Also, if time allows, I have a book that I published, my first ever novel, back in 2016, so 10 years ago this year. And I withdrew it from Amazon, and I've made videos about it in the past, so I'm not going into the details, but it's called Stephanie Steele. It's about an android detective set in the future, kind of Blade Runner-esque. And I wanted to re-edit that completely because I think I've changed as an author in the last 10 years. Well, I hope I have anyway. And I want to kind of improve on the writing that I did 10 years ago in that book, so I'm going to re-edit that and then republish it some point, possibly this year, if time allows, like I say. So 2027, I'm going to do exactly the same as what I'm doing this year. I'm going to write and release the next 6 books in the Half Dead series. So books 11, 12, and 13 by June of 2027, and then books 14, 15, and 16 by the end of that year. Then in 2028, I'm going to try and bring the Half Dead, the main series, to a closure or some kind of satisfactory closure where I could potentially restart it up in the future if I wanted to. And I want to do that because I've got so many other projects that I want to get on with, and I just want to get that finished and out of the way, if that makes sense. So I also want to write. So the books I've currently got planned don't have an ending to the whole series. So I've then got to plan and write a completely new book that I've got no kind of outline for, and I don't know how the series is going to finish yet. So I'm going to do one book to kind of finish that series off. Although I've said I want to finish with the Half Dead series, I do have some standalone stories that I want to do. So completely new characters in different kind of environments. I've already got one written as a film script because the first book in the Half Dead series was originally a film script, and I just adapted that. So I had written a second one with completely different characters. I'm going to adapt that into a novel. And I've got 2 more that I had ideas for as film scripts. So I'm going to take those ideas and turn those into novels. And I've got various other ideas for other stories as well. So I'm going to kind of continue with that. And then in 2029, I'm going to try and write something else. Like I say, I've got a million stories, lots of them already written as film scripts, because I was a filmmaker and writer back in the day. So I've got like lots of stories that were never made into films. So I want to turn them into books. So I've got a werewolf series that I want to write. I'll possibly turn that into like a romantic story, although it's not currently like that at the moment. I've got sci-fi stories, I've got horror, I've got a couple of historic stories written, and I've also got new ideas as well. So I've just got so many stories that I just want to tell. So I want to get the half day kind of done as quickly as possible and out of the way, and then crack on with some other stuff. Then 2030 is the big one. Now I've talked about this before. This is everything that I'm writing now. Is the way I'm looking at it is I'm getting practice and I'm getting good at writing. I'm getting better in writing, and so hopefully, month after month, year after year, I'm going to be improving as a writer, because I want to write this big, massive, epic kind of fantasy series, which is in my mind at least 9 books long. And I've had this story in my head, and I've written notes on it for absolutely years and years and years. So I've got reams of stuff kind of there. I did try and write the first novel. Actually, I did write the first novel in that, and I was hawking it around to like agents, but I didn't get anywhere with it. And I'm pleased I didn't, because the story has absolutely evolved since then, and it's changed into something completely different. Got better ideas that I want to kind of incorporate into that. So what I'm going to use is the novel that I've already written. I'm going to use that as a basis for part of the storyline. So I'm going to integrate elements of what I've already written into like the new storyline that I'm going to write. So that's a big thing. So 2030, although I'm not going to be writing anything, I'm going to be planning that entire series. So I'm going to take at least a year out to just plan this whole epic series. So all of the world rules, the magic, the laws, the history of like this fantasy world, all the characters, who they are, what they need. I'm going to be having loads of animals, creatures, and that in this. So I need to figure out what they are and what they are capable of. Are they dangerous, etc., etc.? Can they be trained? Lots of maybe different plants and trees and things that are, because it's going to be set on a different planet to the Earth. So yeah, I've got this like absolute beast of a story that I want to write. So then 2031, I'm going to hopefully start writing that. And like I say, it's going to be these 9 epic books. So in my mind, at least 9 years of writing. So the plans for that are going to take me all the way up to 2038, if you can believe it. So I've kind of planned that far ahead. My official retirement is actually in 2033, November. So that kind of falls in the middle of when I'm writing that epic kind of, or planning to write that epic fantasy series. So that is going to then allow me to be able to write full time. If I haven't earned my millions by then, and I'm like already retired. But yeah, that's kind of pie in the sky. But this is my 5-year plan, or 5+ year plan. Be a good idea for any writer, author out there to kind of plan what they intend to do kind of in this year, next year, and 2-3 years to come. Just gives you an idea of where you want to kind of focus your writing, and give you some goals, set your goals, and that you don't have to stick to them rigidly. I've just literally changed this 5-year plan that I wrote a few months ago. I'll probably change it again later on this year, especially if I don't reach the goals that I plan for this year. So it's an ever-changing beast, like I say, a kind of a guide as to where I'm kind of wanting to go as a writer in the next few years. So this might be helpful for some people. Some people might just want to do things by the seat of the pants, even when it comes to not knowing kind of what they want to do after they finish their current book. They might want to write a sequel. They might want to do something else completely. They don't know what they're going to do yet, so they might not necessarily want to plan. But it's like, just for me, it's a good idea just to kind of have something, a goal in your head, and a direction that you want to focus and kind of aim for.